everybody to a very special episode of Top of the Pods. It is Oscar season. Check out the drip across our panel this evening. Very, very flash. And the effort just has to be commended, ladies and gentlemen. We are looking spiffing and we are ready to walk the red carpet like it is our night. Why? Because it is our night. On this week's episode, we are looking at the top 10 movies according to the Oscar-nominated Best Picture. Doesn't mean it's our top 10, but we are going to go with our top 10, our 10 nominees for the Best Picture for this year's Oscars. And we are then going to take a look at each, compile our own list, and at the top of that list will be who we feel truly deserves the Oscar. We then might take a little sneaky look at who we think will win versus who we think should win, which is always very, very decisive. I'm sure this list gave a lot of us a lot to think about and wonder, why is this here? Why is that not there? i.e. the whale. But there's a few different scenarios that I'm sure we're going to have some great discussions. Guys, what did you think of the 10 nominated pictures? Do you think they are the right call? And how did you find watching them?
70% of them were. My main problem was that they were too long. Way too long. But 70% would be fair. There's 2 or 3 of them that are kind of, you could put something else in there. For sure.
Definitely. Tom, what did you think?
I thought you were going to ask me, who am I wearing?
Oh my God, Tom, who are you wearing?
Well, this is a black suit. That's all I got. It's interesting because, like, you know, the 10 Best Picture nominees is still relatively new. It was only been there for, like, I think 15 years now. And I don't know, kind of looking at the list, I kind of feel like they could have probably brought it back to 5 in some cases, because some of these are a little bit weak, some are a bit middling, but overall I think there's some pretty great films in here that I'm looking forward to talk about.
I agree with Phil. Like, there's a lot of films in this list that are very, very long. It's a lot of watching to actually get into them. Like, I'm not sure if every member of the Academy has to watch every film, you know, from start to finish, or how they vote on it. But you know, I'm presuming it's a long process to get nominated for Best Picture. So, you know, maybe
I think the way the voting works, if I'm not mistaken, is it's like every department gets consideration for certain films, and then everyone votes for Best Picture. So apparently all the Academy is meant to have watched all of these films, which I don't know if that seems like a lot of time.
That's a long time. They have to match other films as well to narrow it down to their top 10. So
that's it, right? Yeah.
We only had to watch 10.
10 was enough, though, I think, to be fair, across the panel.
Should be 6.
Yeah, you could have called that list. There was no doubt about it.
I can't remember what the threshold is. There's meant to be, like, in other years they've had like less than 10. I think they have to get a certain voting criteria, which is really surprising that we did end up with 10 this year, given some of the films, in my opinion. But anyway.
Also, as well, the Oscars are the only kind of place that you could win Best Picture, but no actor awards would go to.
Yeah, which kind of speaks volumes, really, in many ways, doesn't it?
That's the politics of the whole thing.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's definitely a lot of politics going on behind the scenes. The Oscar.
Hopefully no mistakes this time.
Well, yeah, this is it. Let's hope that the right names are called out and the hosting goes down well and no fists fly.
Nobody gets slapped.
Yeah. Let's hope everybody's name out of their
I want all the drama. I want everything to go wrong. I want physical fist fights over Best Picture. That's how you get me to watch the Oscars.
This is it. Do you know what I mean? As in, like, I can't help thinking that we all kind of want a little bit of Joey Tribbiani when he doesn't win his award and he starts effing and blinding, as opposed to his gracious loser face. We don't want gracious loser faces. We want absolute, as Tom said, 50 cups. We need to see it. That shows that it meant something to them. I'd fight for it, absolutely.
My favourite was Bill Murray when he was snubbed. He just sat there with the most disgusted face you could imagine.
This is it. And I think it leaves a bad taste in a lot of actors' mouths as well. When, like, I mean, how long did it take Leo DiCaprio to win an Oscar? Approximately, 28 years? The age of his new girlfriend?
Whoa.
Oh.
Yeah. And Tom Cruise has none.
Tom Cruise has none. I'm not really too pushed about that. But so yeah, moving on. Guys. Here is the top 10. Where's this top 10? Because I'm so used to doing top 10 lists.
Well,
I'm gonna have to, you know what? There's that top 10 out of my goddamn mouth. So moving swiftly on. The 10 nominees for Best Picture for this year's Oscars are as follows. We have All Quiet on the Western Front. We have Avatar, the water one, because I never the Way of Water. I know, but there's too many W's. We have Elvis. We have Everything Everywhere All at Once. We have Tar. We have the Banshees of Inisherin. We have the Fablemans. We have Top Gun, Maverick. Triangle of Sadness and Women Talking. Yeah, you have a very strong triangle of sadness there. And Women Talking. So what we'll do is we're going to kick off maybe, we can kick off, Phil, with yourself. Give us who your number 10 was. And then we can kind of have a little bit of chat and see where they fell into all of our individual lists. Let's go for it.
This is probably the worst film I've seen in a long time. It's just how long it was.
What a way to start off.
There we go. Yeah,
picture.
This is it, lads.
The Best Picture nominee, and the award goes to, it's the worst film.
I just don't know how it's in there. I just don't know how Triangle of Sadness made it even on the list. It's just like, you know what? I was actually liking it. I liked all the stuff at the start with the girl and the guy chatting, and then the minute it came up, the yacht, it's like it just fell off a cliff. It just, and then the people just started getting sick. I don't know what it was. It just randomness, and then your man was drunk, and then they're suddenly off the boat, and it was like, yeah. And I had to keep on checking my watch to see was it over, and it was just kept going. But it was 2 hours
36 minutes, I think.
This is not good. And I'm wondering, was Woody Harrelson in it so that they get funding?
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah, possible. So that was your number 10, Phil. Woo, you're not you're this episode's list.
My thing was Triangle of Shitness.
Well, of that there was plenty, to be fair.
Yeah.
Tom, Triangle of Sadness, does this hit your number 10 mark? Or
I mean, honestly, you might as well just edit it there and just replay what Phil said. I agree. Triangle of Badness is what I've been calling it. It's like, like pretty much exactly what Phil said. I was at the start. I was invested when we had the kind of male model intro. I was like, what's this going to be about? Like, this is interesting. And the relationship stuff, I was kind of like, whoa, this is something I could grab onto. I will say, the only enjoyment I got out of this was the lead actor. I can't remember his name. It was Richard Harrison or something Harrison. I was like, I recognize him from something, and I had seen him and stuff. But the reason I thought I recognized him was because he reminded me of Will Ospreay. His accent and the way he looks, it really, really worked right there. But yeah, like, it's a movie that so desperately wants to be about something, and there's like, it's like, hey, rich people are bad. Imagine that. Oh, really deep. And then it's like on about kind of socialism and capitalism, and we see bits of that when they're on the island. And then it's like trying to be shocking with, like, you're not going to shock me with some. I've seen some pretty extreme films in my time, like vomiting and shitting and all this stuff. I'm cool with. It's not going to shock me. Instead, it just feels like you're grasping at something. I was baffled that this got nominated for Best Picture. I feel like they just wanted a film that most people hadn't seen to say, that's right, we watch films. It was not anything worth watching. There was very little in this that I actually enjoyed. Some decent performances. They literally shout the themes of the film at you. The characters get drunk and they start shouting over the fucking intercom what the movie is about, and then it goes into Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
It's I didn't enjoy it at all. It's lacked subtlety, lacked taste. It lacked anything worth in being award worthy, in my opinion. Baffled it got nominated. Number 10 for me as well, without a doubt. I'm shocked as well, because I was really like, there was another film I was dead set on being number 10. So this really snatched fucking loss out of the jaws of victory somehow.
It's the most pretentious film I've ever seen.
Oh yes, my God. It's literally the best case of first world problems I've seen this year. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You earn more money than me, and we're in this restaurant with no prices on it, but I'm absolutely going on that free yacht cruise with you worth millions. So I'm just saying, you know what I mean? It's amazing. Darling,
I know it's meant I know it's meant to be like satire, but like anytime you have, like, it's meant to be like, oh, the rich are so pampered and all this, but like anytime you have a movie where two characters are quoting political figures back and forth, you failed somewhere. And as soon as I saw that scene alone, I was like, how the fuck is this up for screenplay anything? Ridiculous. Sorry.
Yeah. It's actually not as bad as that. It's number 6 on my list. Again, it is obviously about power, socialism, capitalism. I think other than the fact if Woody Harrelson wasn't in this film, it would definitely be number 10 for me. But his whole scene, the split, 15, 20 minute scene he's in for the whole film, whatever's going on throughout the yacht while he's there is the best part of the whole film, with everything happening. The fucking, your man getting blown up by his own grenade, your woman lying in the pool of shit in the toilet sliding back and forward. I just couldn't stop laughing at it. I thought it was brilliant. Other than that, like their argument in the restaurant, just like from there they were breaking up, they were back together. Next thing you know, they were on a yacht. There was no, like, they didn't tell us until they were on the yacht how they actually ended up being there. And you're lying there covered in flies. I thought that was going to lead to something. Lord of the Flies thing at the end, like maybe that was some sort of Easter egg, like why the yacht was covered in flies. I thought there was going to be more to that side of the story. But yeah, I understand why everybody would hate it, because it's just a nothing film. Nothing really happens other than a grenade. And where did the pirates go? They threw a grenade on the yacht.
Yeah, that was very, very strange.
Like why? Like,
lads, it was probably a metaphor for something.
Yeah, but like they were that close to the resort. Why were the pirates there? Why would the pirates not just go onto the resort and just hijack that place?
Because it's a metaphor.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to make sense. It's deep. You just don't understand it, man.
There was other films that I hated on this list more than it, but again, for my reasons, Woody Harrelson steals the scenes in most films I watch that he's in. I'm a big mark for Woody Harrelson, so he saved this film for me from where it would have been in number 10. So number 6 for me. It is actually nominated for 3 Oscars as well, by the way: directing, screenplay, and picture.
For me, this was number 9 on my list. This could have been great when it could have been if they started it over. No, but when it started out, when they were having their staff meeting on the boat, aside from the girlfriend shit, because I just think that was kind of like introducing us to those 2 characters and their cutthroat world of modeling. But then when were having the staff meeting in the boat, I thought, right, this could set this up to be really, really great, because everything is yes. And I thought there would have been all sorts of shenanigans going on the boat. And then I kind of had an idea about what the film was about, but then I was like, there's definitely it's going to include the crew. It's definitely all. And then it just kind of fell flat. And I was like, right, this could have been something, but no. Excellent. That was number 9 for me. Excellent. So now let's go in with
Tom's 10.
Tom's number 10.
My number 10 was also Triangle of Sadness, but I'll give you my number 9 if you want it.
Yeah.
What was your number 10, Solo?
My number 10, oh, well, I'm sure this is probably going to cause controversy, but so for my number 10 was Tar. Okay. Now, so let me explain myself, but no, I don't really have to explain myself because I don't really give a, but the reason Tar was my number 10, okay? I am taking absolutely nothing away from Cate Blanchett's performance. I can't imagine the effort that she would have put into this, and it seemed to be recognized when she win the Golden Globe, did she? No, was it the Screen Actors Guild she won?
I think
BAFTAs, I think.
BAFTA. Oh, BAFTA, sorry, yes it was the BAFTA she won for it. And you could tell she was super emotional about the work and everything that she put into it. She had to learn how to compose in German, and amazing effort by her, and you can't take away from her performance. But for me, it was at the end of the movie, my first thought was this was a little bit of too much tick the box. I felt like we needed to have some form of abuse. I felt like we needed to have a lesbian lead who kept telling me that she was a lesbian. I just felt there was a little bit too much of that going on. I don't know. I just kind of, even though it's trying to, punch in the face of how you get caught out by social media and, the driving force behind that, I kind of felt it was just, I felt hit in the face with it. I don't know, it just didn't sit right with me. I just kind of felt this is really being pushed in my face, intentionally or otherwise. I'm not enjoying it. So there are aspects of the movie that I absolutely enjoyed. There really was. But this ghost of Krista, oh yeah, sorry, spoilers alert, should have said that at the start, but this ghost of Krista, I needed to know more. I was, aside from Kate Blanchett's performance, I was not convinced enough that she was some kind of evil predator, or she was some, they touched on it quite a bit, but there just wasn't enough for me. Maybe I'm the type of person that needs it spelled out to me, but I needed more on that side of the story, and the lines between what was really happening. So between reality, what were possible dreams, possible insanity for Lydia's character, they were too blurry. You know what I mean? I like to be kept guessing, but I just they were just a little bit too blurry for me, and I just kind of, I didn't feel it fulfilled when the movie was over. So that's probably scathing now on what's going to be 82% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is. I checked, but tomato is a fruit. So
I was reading about it, right? I think the problem was the real girl was too involved in the whole process. The actual real character herself, and I think she wasn't even happy with the whole thing when it was finished.
I was gonna say, I remember her, she was not happy with the end result, is what I've definitely heard that.
Yeah. I expected great things from this. I really, really did. I don't know, maybe if I'm on my own, I'm not really worried. But Tom, what did you think of Tar? Where did it fall on your list?
For me, this came in at number 8.
Okay.
Far from glowing for me. This was one of those films that I saw when it came out, and I kind of was thinking, oh, maybe I should see it again. Is there something I'm missing here? It's a film where, like, again, performance is really, really good, and I even think the character is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But it's a film that just doesn't really care to make you invested. Like, it feels like it's deliberately drawing everything out and keeping you in that moment where you're like, what was the point of this scene? What are we to get out of this? And I kind of got that resounding sense in the film as well. Like, I don't know what their goal was. Like, was it about cancel culture? Okay, well, cancel culture kind of doesn't really become a factor until later on in the film anyway. And if they are doing that, what were they trying to say about that?
Yeah.
Which really, I didn't get a sense if there was anything. Like, at the end of the film, she's still working. She's working in a foreign country. And I know there's people who said, like, well, actually, if you look at the finer details, this is what they're saying, and she's playing this type of music and blah, blah, blah. But also, I'm like, so? So what exactly are you trying to say? It feels like I would be interested in actually seeing this character again in something else. But I just feel like the film itself didn't care to be very interesting, wasn't very exciting. Again, there is the whole controversial aspect of a lot of people are saying that they have, one of the few gay female composers involved in the film, and they turned her into a horrible abuser.
Yeah.
Probably problematic as well. But I saw Divorce from that context, and it still just didn't really do it. It just didn't excite me. I don't know. I mean, it feels like they're definitely going after the Oscar voter with this one. It feels like it has all those boxes checked, like you said. But that just isn't very interesting to me. And I didn't find it to be a very interesting film, and that's kind of the main thing. I just watched it, forgot about it, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Yep. Love.
Yeah, it's number 10 on my list as well. For a lot of the reasons that you said. It is like a cancel culture speaking out movement film. Like, it was a male lead, using his power to hire someone for his orchestra that he fancies, he wants to fucking have sex with. He would be cancelled as well. Like, so that, I think that's down the going. I was, throughout the whole film, I couldn't help comparing it to Whiplash, which was an amazing film, and it just didn't live up to the hype of Whiplash at all. It was nowhere near what it could have been, and I think that took away a lot of the film for me, because I couldn't get Whiplash out of my head the way he treated Miles Teller's character in that film. So for me, number 10.
Yeah, I actually have a 6.
Number 6.
Isn't it mad that it didn't break the top 5 for something that there's such hype about?
Number 6 for Phil.
Yeah.
The thing about it is, right, if you read the subject of it and saw the length of it, does that change your thing going into it? Like, I'm not going to like this. Like, if it's 2.5 hours long and you're like, the subject is like, okay, this is something that could be good, but because it's so long, do you in your own head, do you trigger yourself to say this is not going to be great before you even watch it?
Well, they could have made it way better. Like, if it had just been about what it's like to be a conductor for a fucking an orchestra, like go, the way they do it. Obviously, we'll talk about Elvis, like, but going into the life of someone who's a conductor, how they get from there to there in their career. They could have done something like that
was
and just
missing.
be the story of getting to that point in your career where you've peaked and life then falls. You get to a point and next it drops off as you progress or as you move on. Somebody else comes in and takes over your position. They could have done something like that.
Even on that note, I think it kind of it really felt to me at least that it kind of kept the audience at arm's length. Like I didn't feel like I necessarily learned a lot about conducting. Like it felt like it was very much like, if you understand it, great. If you don't, just trust me, it makes sense. Like I never felt like I really understood the world of conducting any better watching this. It felt like especially at the opening of the film, they're having a big conversation about composing and the world of music, and I'm just sitting there like, I guess that's right. I didn't feel like I was ever learning anything from this. I don't know.
There was a lot of fancy lingo, which of course are orchestral terms, and those who are music fans from that side, or classical music fans, are going to be super, super familiar with them. But it was overkill. And to be honest with you, the most character that I was invested in this film, which is a shame for Kate Blanchett, because now she's just bawling. Now she heard this is what I said. But the character I was most invested in was Francesca. And then she just disappeared after she leaked everything, but then she just disappeared. There was no gratification for her when she saw how she ended up at the end. There was just a lot of fucking dead air. I don't know how else to describe it. So wow, there we go.
Also, as well, did her accent change throughout the movie, or was that just me? Like Kate Blanchett kind of had a kind of German twang at one point.
Yeah, dipping in and out, definitely. Yeah. So there we go. Wow. So from that, all of our number 10s that we have. Darling, give me your number 9.
Unfortunately, the Banshees of Inisherin is my number 9.
Yeah.
I literally have no idea what all the hype is about this film. I don't know. Is it some sort of American love for Ireland and diddly I look at, just as nothing happens really. Like it's other than him chopping his fingers off and having a falling out with his friends. It's just like what. I have no idea what the whole film was really about. Like they were living on an island during the Civil War in Ireland in the 1920s, and they didn't know what was going on in the mainland. Like that's bullshit. First of all, like of course they knew what was going on in the mainland. Most of the islands around Ireland during that time were hideouts for a lot of people. A lot of people would have been hiding out in the islands when the Brits were in charge, or before and after the Civil War. So I don't know what that was about, but I literally have no idea what the film was meant to be. What the method, like what were they aiming for? Is it about friendship? Is it about seclusion, being locked on an island? It made no sense to me. I just couldn't figure out why everybody loved it so much. So number 9 for me.
Do you think it was aimed at an audience that's not Irish?
Oh yeah,
American. Absolutely. But like even with that, like they could have like delved into so many other things. To me, now don't get me wrong, I can understand the hype around the actors in it, like, and they've done absolutely everything they could with it. But to me, Colin Farrell was like Paddy Irishman in The Joke. Because I found he was presented as the simpleton Irishman a little bit, you know what I mean? And I know, like, the period that it was set in and things like that, but we haven't become more intelligent over all of these decades and years. I just kind of felt like, Paddy Englishman, Paddy Irishman, Paddy Scotchman, Colin Farrell was our representation in that joke. So that was number 8 on my list. Tom, where did it fall for you?
This is very interesting because I kind of thought that I would be the one to center here. Right? It is actually, I will say this, right? I put this in my top 10. I did a video of my top 10 films of last year on my own channel, and I put this somewhere in the middle. And I kind of put it with a lot of reservations because I was kind of like, there must be something I'm missing here. It must be like, and it's funny because when you talk about the audiences is for, like, it feels like it definitely is for people who aren't Irish, but it's also the thing where Irish people they need constant validation about Ireland is great. So as soon as this does well, and as soon as it came out, everyone was like, oh, just see Banshees. Like, that's the thing, especially being the film guy in a circle of friends or people that know you. It's like, I had people running up to me like, did you see Banshees? Wasn't it fantastic? And I was like, yeah. But it's fine. Like, this, honestly, if you did this with any other race, it would be like a hate crime. This is so stereotypical. Half the Irish lads in it are dopes. Of course, it's all centered around going to the pub. We're all Egypts, and sure, we love a donkey. I will say this. It's not the best Irish film at the Oscars this year. On Colin Kuhn is a better Irish film and should be up for Best Picture over this. It's not even the best film about a donkey I've seen in the last 2 weeks. I saw EO, check that out. It's a Polish film.
There was a donkey in Triangle of Sadness as well.
And there was a donkey in Triangle of Sadness, but we won't bring up Triangle of Sadness again. Move on. Stop trying to save it, Jerry. It's like, again, like, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things I like about this, and it does get some laughs out of me. And the themes of isolation on the island, and no man is an island, and the idea of legacy, and obviously the Civil War, representing the Civil War there in the island, but like, that's so surface level to me.
Yeah.
And I also like the Irishness of this film. Really, like, especially it's hard coming at this from an Irish perspective, because people are like, it's Irish, you should be very happy. But like, let's not forget, like, Mark McDonagh is English. He does have an Irish-English connection. This won Best British Film at the BAFTAs.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's due to financing, obviously, but like, and the performances are good. Again, I do agree about Paddy, Irishman, with Colin Farrell. That was my thought as well. I also think, Kerry Condon does great, but like, she's Mrs. Doyle. Like, listen to her performance. She's coming in and she's like, "You got to be fucking joking me." It's so turned up to 11.
Yeah.
And like, there is good things in this film, but it's so hard for me to love it the way seemingly everyone else does. It's not my favorite Mark McDonagh film. It's a 6 for me, which again, I think that's more condemnation of some of the other films that are ranked lower for me. But yeah, it's not as good as I wanted it to be. It definitely feels like a kind of one of McDonagh's plays, but it's not as good as I want it to be. It definitely feels like a bit of a slap in the face. I think people are going to revisit this in a few years down the road and kind of realize it's kind of emperor wears no clothes kind of situation, especially in Ireland.
Yeah, big time. Phil?
Number 9 as well.
Yeah, there we go. Wow.
Problem is, I was saying to lads earlier on about if I wrote this and presented it to someone, they'd think, "What are you up to?" The storyline of "I don't like you anymore," straight away I was done. I was like, "No, this is nonsense," and it goes on for like over an hour of the same thing. And the thing is, they shouldn't have killed the donkey. They shouldn't kill any animals. It was quite upsetting to see that donkey choking on those fingers. I know they don't show it, but like, they still imply. But it was just something you just don't do, I suppose, on camera.
Doesn't it? It feels like really try hard to just be like,
"Yeah,
I don't like you anymore," and then and then you're like, "Oh wow, there must be some deep meaning behind that," and they never like give a real reason, like, or anything.
You hope that's cutting his fingers off, but it's just like,
it'd be like Father Ted 20 years after it ended, like, trapped on the island, and Ted and Dougal have fallen out, kind of thing. And
And it's such a shame, because they could have explored so much with it, especially in this day and age where mental health is front and center, that they could have really explored it for a different reason. Why Brendan Gleeson all of a sudden was like, "No, I don't like you no anymore, and stop calling for me to go to the pub because I just don't want to go with you anymore." I think they could have explored that. Why, what was he going through? Or give us just something. Just don't, put a pot of gold and a little hat with a buckle on it. Give us just something, Wow, God, we've right. Okay.
Yeah, like, that won't be a popular choice, is it?
Tom, you're number 9.
My number 9 is bringing us away from the island of the Banshees and into the island of Pandora. Or is it an island? I don't know. Avatar: The Way of Water. I never got the hype of Avatar. Like, some people kind of loved it and then revisited it and were like, actually, it's not as good. I immediately did not get it. I actually have a review I wrote when I was 16 about how little I got Avatar. Maybe I was 17, doesn't matter. It was shit then. Avatar: The Way of Water, I said it at the time, I was like, James Cameron is the king of the sequel. He's got something up his sleeve, wait and see. Apparently he's got the same film, but this time it's water and whales. Again, it's not a good film. I don't think it is a good film. I understand why it's nominated to a certain degree, that it's, one of the biggest films of the year. There's a lot of impressive technical aspects to it. I will say it's better than the first one, maybe marginally, but I don't get the appeal of these films. Like, they're like, it was so long.
Yeah,
It was so long.
Mm.
Like, I can't imagine anyone seeing this more than once in the cinema. Like, and it's bullshit when you hear like directors go after like Marvel or all these theme park attractions. And I watched this and it was like, get your 3D glasses on. It's in 48 frames a second. Go watch it. And I'm like, this doesn't look real. What am I meant to be seeing here? Like, it was just, I feel like someone just vomited blue on top of me and then just threw me out of the cinema. And I meant to be like, yeah, that was an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. Some of the action was good at the end. Maybe the next one will be better. There was a few impressive visuals. I thought some of the emotional stuff with the family worked briefly, but it really felt like a film out of the 90s at times. Like that, what was that guy's name? The scruffy child with the dreadlocks. I was like, man, that comes out of the 90s in a bad way. But yeah, I don't know how anyone could love this film or this franchise. I especially don't get how you could love this film or watch this film after watching it in cinema. To be honest, I can't imagine sitting there and watching this on a regular TV. I assume the effect will be even lessened again. Number 9 for me.
The problem is it's a James Cameron film, but all his films condensed into one. So you've Terminator and you've so much stuff. It's just I didn't like it either. For me, it's an 8.
An 8 for you.
It's not very good. It's like every James Cameron film ever made condensed into one, especially the end of it. The end of it's basically Terminator.
Yeah.
Very much.
Sure, actually, it does feel like he kind of like this is one of those films where it's like, what do you want, Jim? Oh, I want to go into water and I want to kind of have robots and mech suits, and you're like, well, that's Aliens, that's Terminator, that's Titanic. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Do you know the worst thing I can say about it is like for like one of the biggest films of the year, for a 3-hour film, there's not a lot I can say about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The conversation is around the production of it, like
number 7 for me. It's just, I didn't like the first film as well, Tom. It's first film again. Every time I compare it to something, it's like Point Break. You know, the story of Point Break or Fast and the Furious, or that story has been done before. And I thought maybe now there'll be a sequel, maybe they'll do something completely different. But it just they're rehashing more stories, you know, in a different way. It's, you know, that's been done before. Again, it's all about special effects. You know, fantastic that they're doing stuff that, you know, nobody else can do. That's great. But
can I say on that note, did anyone think that, like, because it's been 14 years since the first film, right? Did anyone feel like they basically just made the first film again because they thought the audience would have forgotten about it?
Yeah. But that's me. Like, there's nothing changes. Like, it's just like, here we go again. It's just they have kids now, and the kids are doing what they did in the first film, really. Like, you know, and they're
it's like
learning how to breathe underwater as opposed to he's learning how to fly in the first film. Like, so it's just a rehash. Like, honestly, I don't know how they're making so much money. Like, it just fucking baffles me. Like, why people keep going back to watch it. And I don't like going to the cinema and watching things in 3D. I think the 3D takes away from the film itself. You know, you're too focused on the 3D special effects as opposed to the story. And, you know, that's not you know, you go to see a film in the cinema, you want to go about the story, you want to know what's happening. You don't want to come out saying, I can't see properly since I come out, you know, out of the darkness, because nothing's in 3D anymore. So, yeah, number 7.
Also, number 7 for me. I won't rehash anything that you've already said. The only thing for Avatar I have to say is, for me, it was Blue Pocahontas. So that's pretty much where I am with that. From that, cruising into number 8. Who have we? Jerry. Number 8 for you was
Women Talking. The title pretty much says everything. It's the film is loosely based on real events in Bolivia. It's based on a book that was written about events in Bolivia. Should I say a cult? What is it? The 2018 novel, Canadian author, inspired by the story of the Manitoba colony in Bolivia. Obviously, like, stuff like this, you know, when you watch a film like this, you're like, who thought this up? But obviously,
she was a member.
Yeah, it was based on her actual experience, so that's fair enough. Like, but, you know, I don't think she liked the film. From what I've read, that she wasn't too happy how they portrayed her book in the film. So nothing really happens in it. Just basically, they're sitting around a barn, and it's based in 2010. When you start watching it, you think it's based in, you know, fucking before there's even electricity, and maybe it's on a a farm somewhere where they don't have electricity, maybe some Amish community or something, but it's actually based in 2010, so it's weird as fuck. I have nothing else to say about it. It's number 8 for me.
Wow. So number 8 for you for women talking. Phil, did women talking talk their way up your list?
It's in the top 5.
Ooh.
I actually have it as 4.
Wow.
I actually, you know what, I was going into it with no expectations whatsoever, and I saw it in the cinema. If I watched it at home, I'd probably have a different thing to it. But seeing it in the cinema, I was like, this is way better than Triangle of Sadness and all the other ones I had lower. And it's like, yeah, this is really good. I Rooney Mara's best performance in a long time because I'm not a fan. I don't really like Rooney Mara.
Very interesting.
She's very good in that.
But Philip broke my top 5 as well. I have it at number 5. To be honest with you,
it's a hard list. It really is a tough list.
Really, really tough list, because I think, to be honest with you, in the list, 9 out of 10 of the movies are missing something, or a lot of things. You know, for them to be great movies as opposed to even good movies as opposed to even great movies. You know, I liked how the story started, women talking. I liked that it didn't start at the very, very start about how they get in there, how this all started, how they drug them with cow tranquilizers and all the women end up being raped, and some of the kids too, things like that. I'm glad that we didn't have to get the whole huge backstory. The way it started told me quite a bit, because they were all very, very open and honest about it. And I think, could it have been better? Yes, but I did like it, and I like that they got out. But I would have liked a little bit more, I suppose, because the men never really appeared. Do you know, that kind of a way? And I just kind of felt like I like that there was always that impending doom that they're going to get caught. I'd like to know there's a man is going to appear from somewhere, or we're going to be exposed to some kind of experience that one of the women had, which kept it on its toes. But I think we could have had a little glimpse of it to show they're all being extremely strong by grouping together and making this decision that they are going to leave, for the majority of them. But I think it just needed a little bit more of a kick to explain why they've got to this stage of wanting to leave, without giving me the whole story. So I'm not really sure what that is, but there was just something. But I did like it. 5.
Also, as well, I thought Jessie Buckley's a star. She's really, really good.
Yeah. And Tom?
Bloody have enough women talking about it already, huh? No, this for me was a number 7. I think in a lot of ways it's actually a very good film. It doesn't feel particularly cinematic. It's very much a stage play to me.
Yeah.
Very well written and performed. You know, Rooney Mara, Ben Whishaw as well. I thought he was fantastic in it. I think like it was a very tough watch at times, but I also like how they didn't focus on the trauma, but also of the idea of the women staying together and how they can deal with that. I thought that was really interesting, and that there's so many lesser films that would have just gone into the gory details, you know.
Yeah.
Because it is something that is so horrific to think about, obviously, especially when it's based on a true story. I liked that it was kind of anachronistic, like with the not knowing what time it was. Like it genuinely put you in the shoes of the people there. Like when you see the kind of truck driving up, taking the census, and you hear Daedry Believer, I was like,
yeah,
the fuck?
Yeah.
And that's exactly how they feel, which is perfect. But aside from that, like, yeah, I would have. It sounds really bad to say I would have preferred more of a threat for these women who have suffered, but I feel like there needed to be more of a kind of drama to it, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Because we're getting to them after the fact, and this is kind of what you were saying, Liz. Like we're getting to them after this has all happened, and there's disagreements and debate, but there's never like there is the whole ticking clock aspect of they'll be back soon. But we don't really get a sense of them trying to escape. They just kind of leave. And I feel like that's better in real life. But I feel like if you're making a film, there needs to be something that's a bit more a bit more dramatic and a bit more cinematic and interesting. Like I saw it in cinema like you did, Phil, like, and I feel like if I was watching at home, there would have been times where I would have probably paused it and wandered off a bit, because my mind did wander a little bit watching it. But again, I did think it was a very good film in a lot of ways. I just needed a bit of something more for me. Number 7.
Cool. So we are into our top 5. Very, very interesting. Going to kick it off straight away, Tom, with yourself. What careered into number 5 for you?
For me, my number 5 was the Fablemans, the Spielberg semi-biopic, I guess if you want to call it that. I will say this is an interesting one for me because I saw it. I actually put it, I think, my second favorite film of the year when I did my own top 10. But I think that was definitely a recency bias, a bit more time removed. Kind of had time to think about it. And I think it's a film that is really good. I feel like it's a film where if another director maybe made it, people would have been more favorable of it. I think like Spielberg is in such a weird part of his career where it feels like he does things that are really impressive, but he's just done them so many times that it's kind of lost its flair. Like there's some really gorgeous shots in this, I thought.
Yeah.
Again, we have one that's really on the nose of him, kind of the kid projecting film onto his hands. That's going to be I all over the Oscars this year. Let's be honest. I love celebrating films like that. But I don't know. I think the performances are fantastic. Michelle Williams especially steals the show. I thought, Seth Rogen kind of surprised. I know he's done dramatic roles in the past, but I thought he was really good. And I felt like a film where it was so strange because it bombed pretty much everywhere it came out.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the way they've been pushing it is so like the magic of cinema. Look at this. We love making films. And then you watch it and you're like, oh no, it's a relationship drama about Spielberg's parents. It's really weird.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I thought the performances were really good. I totally understand why people don't like it. It is a little bit muddled. It feels like it doesn't know exactly what it wants to be. Does it want to be a biopic? Does it want to be a relationship drama? Is it about, the trouble that being Jewish was for Steven Spielberg? Is it like, it has all these little things that feel very unfocused. I mean, there is, the idea of like giving up your family and your love for art and you're going to suffer. I mean, I can't remember the actor's name. He's nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but like he literally does one scene, he walks in and as soon as it ended, I turned to the person I was watching this with and I was like, that's Best Supporting Actor. That's the only reason that's in there. They know that'll nail it. Aside from that, I mean, I love the ending, but it also feels like when you watch that ending where he meets John Ford, with David Lynch doing John Ford, which is amazing. It is that thing where I feel like if you just saw that scene, you'd be much more anticipated for the rest of the film because none of the rest of the film really lives up to that. It's a very different film aside from that. There's flourishes of greatness there, but I feel like it's kind of a missed opportunity. I feel like it could have been better, but it is still, I think, a good film. I think some people are really not a fan of it. For me, it's a number 5 though.
Cool, absolutely. Phil, where did this fall for you?
Number 7. Mainly the same reason. As Tom was on about, it seems to be like there's 10 different things going on. I don't know. I think if they just concentrated on when he was young and then maybe a little bit older and left it there rather than going into the whole thing with the bullying and all that kind of stuff. It was just, I don't know, it was just too, it's been done a million times in cinema screens anyway. It was okay, but Michelle Williams was very good, as she always is very good. Paul Dano was fairly good. Yeah, no, the acting was really good. It just felt like a vanity project for Spielberg.
You just kind of had me thinking there, like if this was not Spielberg, if this was just like we're going to make a film about a director, no one would probably make this film. Like it's not a particularly interesting story. The only interesting thing is the whole thing with his parents. And again, I would have loved if it had gone a bit further down the road. I've heard a lot of people say, like, if you want a film that's more of an allegory of Steven Spielberg as a filmmaker, look at E.T. And that's a much better film. So maybe you should.
Yeah.
You dear.
Number 4 for me, slightly higher up. It could have been top. I'm a big fan of biopics, even though it's loosely based on his life. We're not sure what was fact and what was fiction throughout the movie. Doesn't really go into much detail because obviously they changed the names to protect the innocent, as they say. But it was his parents that actually pushed him. They were pushing him for years to make a film about their lives, which is
awkward, isn't it?
why would your parents be pushing you to make a film about their breakup and shit that happened to them? And it's just it was so weird. Like it is so high because I'm a big fan of biopics and I'm really intrigued and I love researching after the fact once you find out figure out what is real and what is fake. So I can't wait to actually sit down and read through whatever.
On that note, there's like a 4-hour documentary on Spielberg that HBO made a couple of years ago that covers everything.
After these Oscars, I'm not sure if I could sit there for 4 hours to watch something.
It's in 2 parts, if that helps.
It need to be in 6 parts. Again, like it is. It could have been a lot better. I loved the scene with David Lynch's John Ford. Growing up in my house, John Wayne films, like John Ford was everywhere in our place. So that was really special for me, just looking back on all the posters up on the wall and going, the Searchers, The Quiet Man, there's all these pictures. I was like, I'd love to go into the studios in Hollywood and go through somebody's office and just go in and see, what their offices are really like. But I enjoyed it. I just think it could have been better. But number 4.
That scene with John Ford, as well as apparently is a true story. Like, there was a video of him telling the interview, and the one thing that is kind of interesting is like the way it ends with the horizon changing. That's kind of like feels like the promise of what the film could have been. Like that kind of fun.
The way they shot
and
the camera up,
I will say I cannot stand, because I know this is going to start happening, the amount of people that are going to see this film and are going to look at cinematography and say, look where the horizon is, bad shot. These armchair fucking cinematographers are going to emerge from the woodwork now because of this one.
Do you abide by that, Phil? Was that part of your method?
Not so much these days.
Phil is the horizon. This fell at number 4 for me also. And the sole reason for that is all of the above that you guys have just said, but the sole reason for this, that it's at number 4 for me, was Michelle Williams. I thought she was outstanding in this role. As Phil said, she's always great, but she was just particularly outstanding in this role. But the only thing was, I felt like I was watching a movie about her decline and her, extramarital experience, we'll say, because we can't really say it was an affair because nothing happened. So it was just, I was more invested in her than I was with Mitzi than what I was with what was going on with Sammy. I kind of switched off a little bit from Sammy with the whole movie crack, and just kind of was more interested in what was happening with Mitzi, and just slowly watch her go out of her mind, living from place to place and just absolutely miserable, and trying not to be miserable for the sake of her family, or trying to hold it together. That stole the show for me, aside from the not about Steven Spielberg story.
But it feels like it should almost have been 2 separate films. It should have been the relationship film, and then it should have been another film. Should have been about the young plucky Spielberg, because there is parts of that are really interesting, like when he's playing roles in the film, and when he's making the little war film, and like I would have loved to seen like a film about Spielberg learning to make films and then having to try get into the studio system. That would be fascinating. And I also would have loved a relationship drama like that. Would have been really interesting, and how it affects an artist, but he's like just muddled.
So now moving on from that, Jerry, please tell us, what was your number 5?
Top Gun Maverick was my number 5. I love this film. I'm a big fan of the first Top Gun. Obviously, it's an 80s cheesy classic. The first film was never going to be an Oscar-winning movie. I was very surprised that this one was nominated for an Oscar. Good movies don't always have to be nominated for Best Picture. Like, there's loads of good movies out there, like comedy movies and action movies that you'll never see nominated for Best Picture. But this one, I'm okay with it being nominated. It's way better than the original movie. It had no right to be this good. Like, it was delayed so many times. I thought it was never going to happen. Nothing to do with the acting. I'm not really sure what aspect of the film the Academy decided that this is a Best Picture film. It's an action love movie again, like the first one. I can't really say why it was nominated. I really enjoyed the film though. Because of that's what it's number 5. It's in between. It's neither worthy of an Oscar or less worthy of being out of the top 10. So number 5.
Very interesting. Top Gun Maverick, where did that fall on your list, Phil?
3.
Ooh.
And that only reason that I put in 3, because when I saw it in the cinema, I almost felt like I was inside the ships. It was one of the best experiences I've had in a while in the cinema. That one. It was so good. I do you know what, I was dreading going to it because I hate the first one. The passion. Because remember, is it in the first one they repeated that shot like 4 times?
Yeah.
They flipped it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely hated the first one, but this was a pleasant surprise. I really enjoyed this. Again, I don't know. I'm the same with you, Jerry. I don't know why it was nominated, but you know what? It's really good. People seem to like it.
Yeah. Tom, talk to me about Top Gun Maverick.
I'm kind of. I think maybe it is based on just surprise. This is actually my number one, and again, I've been fretting over all the films to be honest in my order. But yeah, this knocked my socks off because I had no love for the original Top Gun either. In fact, I don't even like. Some people are like, "Oh, I saw it growing up. I saw this like 2 years ago," and I was like, "No, not very good. Don't get it." But this one, like, because it kept getting delayed, as you were saying, and I was like, why aren't they just release it? No one gives a shit. It's Top Gun Maverick. Who gives a fuck? And then I saw it in film in like cinemas, and like I was like, okay, I get why they delayed it. Like, this is, if you haven't seen this in cinemas, you're really doing a real injustice. I've seen it 3 times in cinemas so far. Which I think the last time I did that with a film was Dark Knight. It just, again, is it a good film in a lot of aspects? No. The story is very much exactly what it needs to be, nothing more. The characters are paper thin. There's something exhilarating about it. I just find it to be such a fun film. The technical aspect, like when you look at how they filmed this, like basically every actor was a director up there because they were put into the cockpit and told to film when they're up there, and then they had to wait till they came back down to see if it was usable or not.
Yeah.
The technical side of it is amazing. Like where like I can't like, and especially in this era where like I can always be like, that's green screen, that's visual effects. There's so many times this where I can't tell the difference. And that to me is like a certain magic that is so lost in so many movies. Maybe that's why. And yeah, it's probably a big ad for Scientology and Tom Cruise. Grand. But I don't care. It was really, really entertaining. I think it's like, again, it shouldn't be nominated for a lot of Oscars probably. Why is it Best Picture? I don't know. I'm sorry. The Academy went for it, and maybe it's just that they want more people involved. This was such a massive success. But yeah, this was like one of the first times since COVID that I felt like cinema's back, and I just had a ball with it. I saw it again last week in cinemas, and it's still so entertaining. I think it's fantastically made on a technical side. There is some emotional stuff in it. Like, I don't care about Top Gun, but like, I mean, him meeting Val Kilmer, I was actually like, damn, man, that's fucking Val Kilmer, and it's so real and sad. And like, look, Tom Cruise, he's a good actor sometimes, but in the moments there, it's like it actually works. I mean, I think in the years to come, that there's going to be like, you know, all these insecure men are going to be like, these are the films it's okay to cry at, and the ending where he finally hugs Goose, or not Goose, Rooster. That's going to be one of them, because that genuinely gives me goosebumps. No pun intended.
Rooster bumps.
But yeah, no, I'm shocked it's my one. It wasn't even my number one when I did top 10 myself, so that tells you what that list was worth. But it's my number one at the moment. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
Wow, that was a shock. Wow. Yeah. And darling, tell me, where did Top Gun fall for you?
Number 5.
Number 5.
Yes. Number 5.
Oh, sorry. So what did? Top Gun for me, lads, came in at number 6. I get it. I get the whole thing about it, and I know there was a long wait and it was delayed, and that built a lot of the hype. And like, there was people who were like, I am literally, as soon as these tickets are available, I am there with bells on. I am the first one to get into the cinema. And I was like, sure, we'll go see it. Like, I don't know what I feel better about this. If I fancied if either A, I fancied Tom Cruise, or B, I had a penis. I'm just not sure, because I just kind of felt
what are you trying to say?
Or both.
Yeah.
I wish I had one, and I fancied Tom Cruise. I don't know. I just kind of felt it was. Tom made a really, really good point about the characters being paper thin. Okay, I kind of think, like, you know, some things don't need to be revisited, and I just didn't feel that this need to be revisited. Maybe it needs to be closed off. I don't know. But this film, for me, relied heavily on Tom Cruise being in it, and I just felt like it was just a little bit too much of a big ego stroke for him. I really, really did, and I'm just like, like I obviously don't mince my words, but I was just at points I was just like, oh, here we fucking go. I can't take away from the spectacle that it was, because as you say, the whole behind the scenes side of it and how they had to create it was it's phenomenal. That's what's phenomenal. What went into it, the movie itself for me is not phenomenal. Jennifer Connelly, completely terribly miscast, should not have been there, was not funny, tried way too hard to be the damsel and the girl who just owns a pub and doesn't need no man, but apparently she does because she creeps out the window. And I just felt where it needed to be funny, it was tried too hard watching a daytime kids sitcom funny. That to me, I felt like those, I was just, yeah, 6.
The problem is it's going to be a lot more of them because they made over.
They've already signed up.
Oh, I fucking know.
3 was it one or 2 more sequels, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even defend any of that stuff, by the way. It is totally cliche written. I feel like before anyone says a line, I'm like, I know what the line's going to be, and it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is a totally Tom Cruise stroke of any project. As soon as he got on a motorbike, I was like, yeah, that probably wasn't in the script.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't even defend it. I just love it. I can't help it.
Yeah.
It's chewing gum for me.
Just like fucking borderline fucking hot shots part 2. Do you know what I mean? Parts were borderline that like. Great. So that was that. Phil, I need your number 5.
Elvis.
Oh. For Phil.
It was mainly, do you know what it was? It was mainly because I thought Tom Hanks was miscast. I don't think he was brilliant. Did he get Razzie Award for that?
I
don't know.
I'm not sure if he got a Razzie, but he did. They did get a lot of criticism for his portrayal of
him. And then the editing as well annoyed me. How quick the edits were at the start of it, like, drove me insane.
And it's nominated for an Oscar for editing.
Calm down a little bit. I suppose your man is not, and he known for that.
Well, you know the old rule about editing Oscars, though, it's like it's not good editing; it's the most notable and noticeable editing is what gets nominated. If good editing, you won't notice. So that was the whole. I'm sure it was a Bohemian Rhapsody was nominated a couple of years ago. So
yeah,
it's like just that you notice it's there. Yeah,
chaotic editing, and it was just like, I just couldn't get into it because it was just so quick. Like there weren't even 3-second shots, I'd say. And then it calmed down. But he's very good as Elvis. He really is. It wouldn't surprise me if he beats Brendan Fraser, even though he won't. I don't think he will, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did. But overall, it was okay. Nothing special.
I'll confirm as well. Tom Hanks is nominated for Worst Supporting Actor at the Razzies this year.
Yeah,
and he's also nominated for Worst Actor for Pinocchio. So he could be 2 nominees.
Well done, Tom. Well done. We'll always have Sully. Don't you worry. With that, darling, where did Elvis fall for you?
Number 3. I agree with Phil. Again, this is one of them things. I'm a big lover of biopics, so I thought his portrayal of Elvis was phenomenal. It's Tom, you said about Top Gun and grown men crying at a film. At the end, with him and the piano, when they shot the 2 scenes, you know, that killed me when we saw that the first time. That broke my heart. There was the lump in the throat moment during that scene that nearly fucking broke me. So, but again, I'm a big fan of Elvis. My mother was a big fan of Elvis growing up. Most of my friends growing up would have been fans of Elvis. So it was nice to see somebody portraying him in a role, but actually believable role, like where they actually didn't hide away from his drug abuse and the shit that was going on behind the scenes that nobody ever talked about or they didn't want to know. And it wasn't, finding out why Colonel Parker was keeping him in America and not letting him travel the world. Like, it was nice to see that side of it and actually, understand why things happened and why his, health went down to shit and why he probably died at a young age. Like, it was a heartbreaking film, but again, his performance was just outstanding. I just
you know what I found the shocking part of it? That's not real footage at the end. That's actually, man.
Oh yeah. Well, they started at the start of the song. It's him playing the piano, and then they shot the edit. The cut into Elvis finishing off the song. Then it was so well done. It was so well edited. It was that part of it was very well done. I think.
Yeah. That's what they're nominated for. That little bit of editing there.
Just that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tom, Elvis, How did he fall for you?
Very, very strange, this film for me, because it's everything I should absolutely hate. It came in at number 2 for me. Further proving that I don't even know my own opinion, so don't get offended by my opinion. I don't like music biopics generally. I find them to be so formulaic and obvious. I'm surprised anyone makes musical biopics after Dewey Cox came out, because it literally skewered the whole thing and ruined everything for everyone. Baz Luhrmann. I don't love Baz Luhrmann either. I don't like Moulin Rouge. I can't stand it, to be honest. The one time I saw it, he has such an in-your-face, annoying style. Not a big Elvis fan. And yet somehow everything in that for me totally worked. I thought his style perfectly suited the film. I totally get what Phil is saying with the chaotic editing. I feel like the over-the-top style kind of worked for me, because I kind of knew what I got going into it. It's just a sensory overload that I enjoyed in a kind of giddy way. I thought coming out of it, I was like, man, I actually like a lot more Elvis songs than I realized. I feel like Elvis is so well known that kind of his life story is pretty well documented anyway, but I still kind of got something out of it. Even Tom Hanks' performance, like, it's not a good performance, but the film is so campy and kind of dumb that I was fine with him, doing his whatever Colonel Tom Parker impression was, which was like him just being like, "Oh, my child," like literally sounds like a school production. Austin Butler is fantastic as Elvis. He's given such a good performance that apparently he can't stop being Elvis, if you believe him. I thought it was just really a roller coaster ride that was fantastic. I think it's really got a good chance at winning some awards. I think Austin Butler really is the one to beat this year for Best Actor, because he sung a lot of songs. I think later on they maybe blended Elvis's voice with his own maybe at some point in the film, but I think like he does an excellent job. I think he carries the film, and the film is it's never really boring, even though it's long, and a lot of the films here were long. This is one of the few where I felt pretty engaged with it, and I just saw it on a random day, not really massively invested in seeing it. I just went because I wanted to go to the cinema, and I came away really impressed. So yeah, it's my number 2, shockingly.
Fabulous. Completely. I agree with pretty much everyone. For me, Elvis came in at number 3. We all kind of know, we all know about Elvis, but I was very oblivious to the fact of what else was going on behind the scenes. We all know how he died. We all know he suffered drug abuse and things like that. And obviously his diet was a factor and things like that as well that came out later. But I didn't know anything about the Colonel. I didn't know anything about any of that kind of stuff that was going on. So I went into this film completely blind, which I am so grateful for, because I'm not the biggest movie buff. I'd say probably since I met Jerry, I've probably never watched so many movies. Prior to that, I wasn't really a movie person, but Jerry gets me really invested in watching more movies. And to be honest, this movie made me feel something. And that's huge for me. It has to make me feel something other than, I know how this is going to go, but it just made me feel something. Everything from how the girls were feeling when they saw this fella and all these moves and the wiggly legs and the hips, from that euphoria to the anger of him being so, or him being so angry about being so exposed to everybody, and then to be stifled, and he wants to be himself. And from that to, it was a roller coaster of emotions for me. And I was with you in the cinema for that last scene. I felt like somebody sat in my chest. It was just absolutely heartbreaking. It really, really was, to see in a way how the mighty had fallen, but just understanding why was just such a reality check for me that I could nearly get choked now thinking about it, because it was just, and it's not just a movie, it happened. That for me, I really felt something with this movie. And he was phenomenal at Elvis. I think for such a young actor to take on a role like that, he could have made an absolute shite show of it. He could have, but he absolutely didn't. So yeah, number 3 for me.
But he actually got sick making it.
Yeah.
No way, did he?
Yeah. He drained his body. He was rushed to hospital at one point, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's commitment. Oh my God, that's just nuts. So let me see. we're now down to, what do we need? Next, we need Tom's number 4.
Invested Nick News. That's not me doing my my Colonel Parker. That is All Quiet on the Western Front. This is one where, again, it's a Netflix film, and when it came out, when Netflix films come to cinema, it's like you can see it here for like 2 days, and if you don't, tough shit. So I was glad they kind of re-released movies coming up to the Oscars, and I got to see this in cinema because I think it's one that really benefited from being on a big screen for me. It's the story's kind of well documented. It's one of the most famous kind of anti-war books out there. 4 lads go to the front, hilarity ensues. It's that thing where, and again, maybe sometimes you bring your own experiences into it. Like maybe a week or 2 before I saw this, I went to a war museum, so I really was very riven and had war in my mind a little bit, and the horrors of war. And I think like there's so many war movies out there, especially from the Hollywood perspective, and I think because of that, what you often get is especially with the World War, it's like America is victorious, and it kind of glamorizes it a bit. And what I found fascinating was seeing it, the First World War, especially because it's not as glitzy and glamorous, and whenever it is, it's like you look at a film like 1917, where it's like a kind of a heroic story, whereas this, it's like really got across the horror of war, which is what I needed to nail for me. Like, it was really intense, made war just not look good or cool, which is what it had to do. Like the scene of them in the trenches when the tanks go over is like, genuinely, it made me feel like, God, this is horrible. Like, that, and again, especially when you get desensitized to violence with so many of these movies, like that and the flamethrower scene were really horrible. I mean, like, you genuinely believe these lads are destroyed by the war. I mean, one of them is literally like, fucking put a fork in me, I'm done, or I'll put a fork in myself, I suppose. But I do think if there is something to take away from it, it does kind of feel its length. It is very long. I feel like at times it was like World War I in real time. The cinematography, I thought, was really haunting. I liked the score. There's a kind of a one song in particular from this, and again, didn't really suit the time, but it really suited the intensity of this whole thing. I thought the performances were outstanding, which isn't always easy kind of to pick up when it's a foreign language film like this that relies so heavily on subtitles. It also, I will say, if I had a criticism, and this again goes hand in hand with the length, and I know they made changes from the book, when the other people are starting to die around our lead, it kind of got the sense of, okay, it's inevitable, but now I see where it's going, everyone's going to die, right? And I feel like there's one character, God, what's his name? Cat. Like, his death just seems really, because I know they changed that from the novel. It felt very forced, where like it's like the war is over, we'll go steal a goose. Okay, I mean, it just felt a little bit forced that they had to kill everyone off. But aside from that, I thought this was really intense and horrifying. What it needed to be, it kind of felt like a war film that we don't often get. And I feel like it so easily could have been reduced in scale or scope because it was a Netflix film or a foreign film at that. I thought it was fantastic, though. Really upsetting in a way that was still good, if that makes sense. So yeah, All Quiet at the Western Front, number 4 for me.
Like it, absolutely. Phil, All Quiet in the Western Front?
I have it as number 2. Again, it's the same thing. It's a horrifying. Like, I genuinely don't like war films. I think I like one other one, Saving Private Ryan. And I wouldn't go out of my way to normally watch war films in general, but this was just horrific, and kind of, it needed, as you said, you needed to kind of showcase that kind of grit. And I love the long shots, the one take shots. I was looking up how they kind of done those. It's kind of mad. They kind of have like little fake kind of, not really explosions, but like they put mounds of dirt and there's time them to blow up the dirt. It's cool. It's on YouTube, I think, if you watch it back. But it's very very haunting. What did you make of it?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, it's my number 1. Unlike you, Phil, I love war films. this is right up there with one of the best war films I've ever seen. Obviously, the story has been done previously in other films in the past. So it's not really a remake. It's just a reimagination of the book again. It was done just phenomenal. Like, it's not about the performance of the actors, even though, you know, you feel for them. Like, you know, that, you know, like Tom said, most war films are based on the American or the British side of the heroics to winning the war, and, you know, being on this side of the fence, like, or this side of the trenches, like, you're just like, what's it all about? Why is there a need for a war in the first place? And when you see the top brass up in the house drinking fucking champagne and eating fucking all the fancy meals, like, just across the fucking field from the trenches, it's just like, how, like, and then to this day it's probably like that anyway, as it is. Like, most wars are, you know, funded by the rich, and they're sitting up in their fucking mansions making money off every bomb that lands in somebody's fucking back garden. So it's pretty much the same way, but he was leading the war from that house, looking down on all these poor fucking German lads, you know, basically going out and committing suicide, like, right at the end of the war. Like, it was over, like, you had half an hour to go, you just leave them alone, let them go home. Like, they were all ready to go home, and it was just so sad, like, you know, that this is real. This is, you know, pretty much, again, it's not a biopic, but it's pretty much a retelling of what exactly happened on the German side of things, which, you know, some of them were so, you know, determined not to go back to war. Like, you know, your man lying on the at the end, he was stabbing himself with the fork. It was crazy. Like. And whenever they were robbing the chickens, running into the farmer's field, and when a young fella came after them, I thought, oh, here we fucking go. You know, never go back to the same place twice. Never rob the same, you know, go back to the scene of the crime. I thought, you're fucked now. Like, you know, why did you do it? Like, so it was so sad, but it was so well done. Like, and again, it was very long. Like, but war films have to be long for it to actually make sense. You can't really have a short war film. 90 minutes isn't a long enough time to explain a war film. Like, so yeah, my number one.
Yeah. I nearly forgot the name of it there for a second. All Quiet on the Western Front. It was all quiet there for a minute until I remembered what it were called. So All Quiet on the Western Front is also my number one. Yeah. Reason being, we do see a lot of movies set during times of war. An awful lot of them, and some of them really, really hit the mark. Some of them absolutely don't. But for me, this just touched on a completely different side of the war. Because I know we always used to see, you know, we always see the wounded running into the first aid tent. We always see the wife at home waiting for the letters for the husband to say the husband has died and left alone with the kids. And we always see, you know, the knock on the door. We always see then what a lot of war films get lost in is the artillery, the special effects, the huge tanks, the aircraft carriers. A lot of war movies can get caught up in a lot of that, but the testosterone driven side of it to pull in that crowd. And my testosterone levels aren't high enough to appreciate all of that, even though I do appreciate a good effect. It's showing us that kids were sent to war. Conscription was rampant. You know, kids were sent to war. They were excited about going to war because that is what they were almost, I suppose, in a way, brainwashed into thinking that, you know, victory for our country. The reality hit very, very quickly. And as you said, some terrifying scenes, to nod to what Tom was saying about the tanks driving over the top of them. The reality that you had injured somebody so badly that they were choking on their own blood, and you thought you killed them, they came back to life, and then you had to try and put them out of their misery. This was a daily reality for so many people during those times that I just felt it dealt with that in a really, really great way. And what I took away from it was obviously everything that I've just mentioned, but these were boys. You know, that's what I came away with. And that was harrowing, to say the least, to me, that they just went in with absolute blinkers on, and the reality was very, very different. So yeah, my number one absolutely was All Quiet on the Western Front.
I mean, it did win Best Picture at the BAFTAs as well. And it swept the BAFTAs out. And honestly, for me, it's one of those ones where, like, since I only seen it like 2 or 3 days ago, I do think it's one of those ones that Overtimes probably would have been my favorite. Like it's that it's still sitting with me. I'm still thinking, like, you just brought up the crater scene, which I didn't mention at all, where he wounds a person and he just has to kind of live in that moment.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
And I love as well as like you start to see the actor like resemble like the battlefield. He starts having some of that on him. Like you can see like he's physically being transformed by the war. And they are very excited at the start, and then very quickly they're out, because like so many of those films, like it feels like there's a lot of build up to them going to the war. This film, they immediately get dumped into shit.
Yeah.
And we just get the juxtaposition between that and the cold indifference of the people in the boardrooms. Like they're just stone faced, not giving a shit. I mean, I don't think anyone was surprised Daniel Bruhl showed up as well. By the way, I was like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Oh, there he is. Yay. That was the only moment of levity for me. But yeah.
Definitely. Even when at the start, when they were given the uniform and they had to cut the tag off the person that was deceased.
Yeah, and then you see all the tags on the floor. Oh God, yeah.
I was like,
you know you're in for a shit time.
You know, the names get mixed up, and then all of a sudden, that is just the biggest alarm bell ringing in your head. And he goes off all happy and smiling with his uniform, and you're thinking, "Oh dear Jesus!"
Even that actor's face when he like cuts the tag off, he's like, happens all the time, and he just kind of is like nervously, just like realizing, God, this is so fucking horrible.
Yeah, if I had any maternal bones in my body, I would have been like, "Oh Jesus, my child, come back," but I don't, so leave him off. So from that, then we are moving on to, let's see, I need Tom's number 3.
My number 3 is one where, again, I think it could go up and down depending on the day, is Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was a movie that I've seen twice now. I think the only kind of knock I have against it is that I do feel like the second time it didn't feel as fresh to me. So I think I do, when I watch it again, it probably will be fine. It's a movie that just felt endlessly creative. I know everybody said this, so I might as well say it as well. It really handed Marvel their ass this year when it came to multiverse.
Yeah,
it might even keep continuing because they're going down the multiverse, and here we have a film that was made for a fraction of the price that was way more interesting and creative. It was absolutely bonkers in the best way possible. It's a film that like I could have known I would have loved, but I'm so delighted it found an audience because it is so strange, but it is also original. The cast is fantastic. I mean, Michelle Yeoh is always amazing, and was it Ki Hu Kwan? I mean, how great is it to have him back? Like, brilliant. I mean, and I love, like, even sometimes in his delivery, like he'll deliver a certain line, and I'm like, that's short round. You can kind of hear it in his voice. I mean, it was a film that like so easy could have just also been a lot of random humor, weird comedy, but there is a real heart to it as well. Like the relationship between the daughter and the mother is really good. It has some of the best jokes in there. Sometimes it might go down the kind of memey random humor a bit too much at times, that will turn a few people off. And I will say it is maybe a little bit long for what it is. I feel like they could have trimmed it a little bit, but I mean, I defy anyone to watch this film and not have fun with it. Like, it's so entertaining. Aside from it being well made, I can't believe they made it at the cost they did either. When you look at how much it costs compared to what you got, it's just a film that's endlessly creative, and I feel like anyone that makes anything has to watch this and just champion it. Like, I think it was fantastic. Really delighted that it got nominated for Best Picture, because I think there's been plenty of years where the Academy would have been like, oh, a film like that at the Oscars. I'm delighted. I'm delighted that it's getting the love it so rightfully deserves me. Yeah, definitely my number 3.
Excellent, absolutely, darling. Where did this fall for you?
Number 2. For all those reasons, I loved everything about this film. It's like a love letter to like The Matrix and Kill Bill and like Jackie Chan movies, and even throw in some wrestling into it. Like, it's just, there's so much going on. And like you said, Tom, like it blew the multiverse to one side. Like the way they told the story, how they were coming through their different multiverses was fucking phenomenal. There was thousands and thousands, and that scene where they shot with her changing into each version of herself was fucking ridiculous. And there's actually a video, I think New Rockstars or somebody has it up, actually shot by shot of each one, and explains the version of her, which one it is, which is fucking very well done. But I think it's just a mindfuck of all proportions. You know, you're like, what's going on? Like, and the fucking hot dog finger one, it was fucking what?
Oh my god!
Oh, what's going on? It's like I was watching Scotty Pilgrim versus the World, and I was like, oh Jesus! Was this a it was a game? Was there a computer game about this? Or is this something that's But it's not. It's just like just they're taking over 2001: A Space Odyssey. Is that what they were taking the piss out of in that hot dog scene?
I should say as well, by the way, A24 who put this out, you can buy hot dog finger gloves off their website.
Essential.
I'm looking at them right now and I'm eyeing them up.
Well, that scene when they were fucking the hot dogs, all the mustard and ketchup started.
Oh my god! Like
it was brilliant. Like, so I love this film. I'm definitely going to go back and watch it a few more times. Probably in the next few weeks or so. But if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's just
demented.
You'll never have to take magic mushrooms again. Just go and watch it.
Yeah. Phil, where did it fall for you? Shall I guess?
It's definitely number one. The thing is, like I was looking it up there as well. The budget was less than $20 million.
In this day and age,
and probably half it went to Jamie Lee Curtis.
Probably true.
But no, she was actually really good in it.
I thought so too. Yeah, really, really good. Such a change for her.
Yeah, from
the most creative and fun film on the list. There's not much more I can say that he said, because it's a mind fuck, but it's a really, really good mind fuck.
Yeah.
And if you love The Matrix, you would definitely love this.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievably good. I can't say enough about it because it's just class. I love it. Yeah. What do you reckon?
I am totally Phil. For me, this came in at number 2. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm not a multiverse person. Haven't seen any of them. Any of the things that you tell me about that I need to sit down and watch all of them. I think I've seen Iron Man, and the rest of them are
You watched She-Hulk and you watched Hawkeye.
I watched that series. Did I watch? Oh, I did.
Hawkeye, because it was in New York.
No,
Hawkeye was New York.
The one where you hung out the Christmas tree?
Yeah.
Okay. So none of them. So I need to see all. Drake is telling me I need to watch them because he tries to explain them to me, and then I'm like, "Whoa, look, a raccoon!" So
Raccoony.
Right. So I kind of need to, but with this, so I felt like when I was watching this that I had dropped 10E. I'm not even kidding. I just was like, and then I found myself at times looking over at Jerry's reaction just to make sure that what I was seeing is what he was seeing, and that I hadn't dozed off and then fell back into the film and thought, like, what? And what confirmed for me that I possibly felt like I had dropped 10E is when I saw somebody pulling down his pants to fly through the air and land on an award that resembles a butt plug. And then I definitely had to look over again at Jerry's reaction just to make sure that I was still on the right planet and not buzzing off my head. So it was just like, it was absolutely fucking demented.
Bonkers.
I don't even know. There's very little else you could say about this, but it was absolutely off the fucking chart demented. It was amazingly crazy and thoroughly enjoyed it, but there was also, it's funny because there was actually laugh out loud moments as well, where you felt like you should be laughing at this movie because it was so off the frickin' wall, but then there actually was funny parts of it as well. It was just absolutely demented. It was great.
Well, he beat up all the fucking security guards with a man, what do they call it? A bun bag?
A fanny pack.
Fanny pack.
Fanny pack.
Like, I mean, Jesus Christ, we're gonna have to do, like, there should be a class that trains you how to use your touristic items like nunchucks, like, like a visor with a blade, that kind of a way. Like, this is what we need in life. I'm just saying. Phenomenal.
The only thing they didn't have, which I thought they might have just thrown a reference to Data from the Goonies, is maybe it had a camera, had a fucking boxing glove on it they could have used to beat them up with.
Oh yeah,
that would have been cool.
So
that's it.
That is everything. So I am going to correlate the scores. So bear with me. I shall return back. Keep up the glitz, keep up the glamour, and I think Jerry's going to tell you now about how you too could look this prim and proper.
Yeah, well, as before in most of our episodes this last few weeks, we are sponsored again by Manscaped.com. Support by them, who is the best below the waist grooming. Their products, precision engineered tools for your family jewels. I think an Oscar must go to Manscaped for their 4.0 package. The performance package the ultimate hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with their exclusive offer for you. Get 20% off, free worldwide shipping. Use the code IWE20 at checkout. If my math is correct, that's 14 million balls. Minus 1 or 2 people may have got 1 or 2 removed or lost from some barbed wire fences. It happens. Happened to someone I know growing up. He ran over a barbed wire fence and one of his nuts got caught and it ripped off. And the poor bastard never lived it down.
You call him one?
I think I've heard about that guy. I thought that was an urban legend. I've heard of that guy. I'm sure. I thought it was an urban legend.
It happened. His ball was literally hanging on the barbed wire.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a true story.
God.
But join over 7 million men or 14 million balls, give or take a few, who trust Manscaped.
Even one ball Larry needs manscaped.com.
Yep. The balls aren't the only part that get hairy. Goes up and down. The happy trail gets hairy. You can use it on your armpits. You can use it for your hair. You're your happy trail from your belly button down.
Never heard that in my
life. No, what people call it.
Happy trail.
Yeah, that's a trail that
happy
goes
trail.
Pube line.
It's not a pube line though, it's just normal hair.
Happy trail.
Happy trail. What do you call it, lads? What do you call it?
Happy trail. Yeah.
Happy trail.
Never heard that in my life. Oh my God.
So
it starts at the belly button and leads to happiness.
If you like to shave that off, if you don't want to aim people toward your happy trail, or maybe you want to carve in an arrow or some weird stuff and make you look like a fucking somebody who wears socks and sandals, who'll probably do that. Off you go. Tom, how have you been finding Manscaped since you started using it?
I gotta say, I was like, because I listened to podcasts, I listened to videos, and I was like, manscaped.com. I was familiar with them, but never made the jump until I got this wonderful package in the post. Amazing, the stuff they have. The equipment is like top of the range. I mean, and again, you have deodorants and balms and all these amazing things. It's like my downstairs is never going to look as good again. It puts the rest of me to shame, shall I say? Like, absolutely amazing. Your bollocks could be as smooth as an Oscar. Imagine that.
Exactly. It could absolutely be.
Yeah, it could lead to an Oscar-winning performance.
That's right. If you want the best hair and makeup, the only thing you're going to guys use Manscaped.
You can use it to shave everything, everywhere, all at once.
We get it for the best editing as well, to be fair.
Phil, you've been using it for what, about a year and a half now?
Why wasn't I using it sooner?
Yeah, that's it. Like, I've been using it for about 3 years, so it's I don't think I'll ever be without one. I don't know how long they last. I'm presuming they last for a long time before you have to, replace them. But it's
definitely over 2 years, I've hoped.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Like, you charge it, you get about 90 minutes on the battery once it's charged. But like, it's not like it, it's going to break after a year and you have to go and get a new one. It's not like I won't say what the brand is. Who have the 3 blades. They're constantly upgrading their razors and constantly making you buy more of them. If you're into that. But this is a once-off thing. You have it forever, pretty much. Hopefully. I'm sure they'll bring out Performance Package 5.0 or something else in a time to come. They have the Weed Whacker now. I think they're launching a Weed Whacker 2.0. I'm not sure what the difference between that and shaving your nose hair, whether there's a little torch and a little LED light on it or not. Looking forward to seeing what that is. But again, like I said, if you're interested in it, if it sounds like something you'd like to try out, or maybe you're watching and your husband is a bit rough around the edges and you want to make him trim back a bit, you can get it from him as a present. Go into manscaped.com, go to checkout, put in the code IW20, get 20% off, free shipping, and they also give 30 days money back guarantee. That's something they do themselves. Try it out for 30 days, get them to shave it. Hopefully it'll last for 30 days. It'll be smooth for a while anyway, maybe a little bit of stubble. But try it out. Go to checkout, manscaped.com, IW20, 20% off, free worldwide shipping. And we thank them again for sponsoring the Top of the Pods podcast. As we wait for the scores, we're going to look at just some honorable mentions, maybe films that should have been in the Oscar. Someone that maybe missed out on Oscar nominations. Tom, what have you got there? Who's missed out this year?
Well, a lot of people have missed out. I'm looking here at Game Rant's list of the biggest snubs from the Oscars 2023. First of all, Decision to Leave was not nominated at all. Park Chan-wook, I mean, the guy, cleared house when it came to Parasite, so it's kind of surprising that really that South Korean cinema didn't make a market decision to leave at all, which is a shock. We're talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once, of course. It didn't get the cut for visual effects, which is kind of shocking considering what they did in a small budget. Sometimes it seems like visual effects, again, it's a thing where it's noticeable.
There was 11 nominations for Everything Ever All, wasn't there?
Yeah,
they must have.
Yeah, it's shocking.
Yeah.
We have Guillermo del Toro didn't get a nomination for Best Original Song in Pinocchio, which Pinocchio, I thought Pinocchio was a fantastic film. I could have easily seen it being in a Best Picture nomination, but yeah, we got Lady Gaga nominated for Top Gun, and I saw someone say recently, like, it's shocking that the only thing that didn't latch on to the public from Top Gun was the Lady Gaga song. I totally forgot it was the Lady Gaga song in Top Gun, but
I can't even remember.
Yeah, exactly. But he had Ciao Papa from Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which is a fantastic song that just got no love from the Academy this year, it seems.
Yeah.
Not the only singer-songwriter person that gets snubbed at the Oscars. Taylor Swift is snubbed on 2 fronts. She
we're very disappointed.
I was going to say, you guys are absolutely freaking out.
Yeah.
But yeah, she nothing for her short film All Too Well, and also her song Carolina from When the Crawdads Sing didn't get a look in at all. An instant classic horror snubbed for original screenplay. They're talking about Barbarian, which was a very good film. Could it have been nominated for best screenplay? Possibly. Is it a snub? I don't know. I really did enjoy Barbarian, but maybe they're kind of reaching with that one. Same thing with Black Panther. They're saying they should have gotten an adapted screenplay. Come on, I don't know about that one. They have Keke Palmer for Nope, didn't get supporting actress. I'm kind of surprised in general, to be honest. I feel like Nope would have been more fitting in Best Picture than some of the other nominees, because I thought Nope was very good, but not everyone felt that way. Certainly Keke Palmer was amazing in that role. Viola Davis lost out on Best Actress for The Woman King. The Woman King in general didn't have a very good showing at the Oscars, and it was one that initially people were very very kind of hopeful for. People pinned a lot of hopes to. One of the big ones people are talking about is Paul Dano. Didn't make the Best Actor cut. Maybe it was just a performance that was a bit too subtle for the Academy. But also, as we mentioned, Nope is completely absent as their number one thing. Bit of a shocker, because Jordan Peele has been a bit of an Academy darling. Gotten no love as a film from the Academy, and it's a shame, because I think there was a lot of merit in that movie that just got no love this year. Is there any other films that you guys feel like could have been nominated for Best Picture? I have a few myself. After Sun, I thought was fantastic. Surprised it wasn't nominated for Best Picture, even though Paul Mescal got a look in. A few other ones that were fantastic this year. Nitram was a small Australian one. I'm not surprised it didn't get a look in. It was really good. RRR was one that a lot of people loved. That was a kind of a Bollywood film that was insane, but again, not surprised. I think it is actually nominated for Best Original Song. Maybe they might even be performing it at the ceremony. So
yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. So again, it's something. But I don't know. Is there any other films you guys feel like, or any snubs in general you feel like?
Babylon was definitely better than some of the few that were in the list. So I would put Babylon in.
Yeah, I'm surprised with Brendan Fraser being nominated for The Whale that The Whale isn't in there for Best Picture. I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure how good it is. But
I have seen The Whale, and I have seen Babylon. I think, again, I didn't love Babylon, but I do think it is better than some of the Best Picture nominees. And The Whale, I feel like it's something that the Academy would definitely give a nod to for acting. Brendan Fraser is good enough, but I'm not surprised they didn't give it anything else. It's very, very uncinematic, and again, I think it's kind of sloppy at times.
It's similar to Women Talking, where it's just the whole thing is in the living room.
Yeah, I think, and that literally was adapted from a play, and I think it really shows.
Yeah, I think the menu.
Yeah.
The menu, I thought the menu was outstanding. It's just absolutely off the freaking wall as well, but just like could not stop watching it. So yeah.
I feel like the menu has kind of almost felt like a superior version than Triangle of Sadness, personally. It kind of feels like it had a similar theme.
There was a lot of similarities in the restaurant scene on the ship or on the yacht. Like, I couldn't help but think about the menu. Like, they were serving them as if nothing was happening. They're all getting sick.
Yeah.
And all the crew were just pretending like, sure, it's okay. Drink some water or eat some food. You won't get sick. And it's like, I spent time in the Navy. Like, seasickness is fucking horrible. And that scene was fucking wicked. Like, so yeah. Very similar to the menu.
I was just checking some of the nominations for Babylon, and the ones that are nominated for it should win, I would say. Best costume design, best production design, and best original score. is it Voodoo Mama or Hoochie Mama or something? I can't remember what it's called, but there's one song from the Babylon soundtrack that's amazing.
I thought the Harvey Weinstein thing was quite good. He said, she said.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen that yet. No.
Yeah, it feels like that was one that again had a lot of hot tips going into the Oscars and then kind of got totally overlooked. And again, there was a lot of people talking about whether there's still a market for these kind of smaller artsy films because the release strategy they're been going with hasn't really worked coming back out of COVID. So it's interesting to see the nominations this year. I'd say they're probably more populist than a lot of years, and that might be saying something.
Well,
Definitely.
let's go back to what is nominated and see how the list fared up.
Our list has been compiled. We have our top 10 of how we feel these best nominations for Best Picture should fall. And of course, these are our opinions, but our opinions are God. So that's that. And who is going to be the coveted winner of da, 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 da. You like me, you really like me. Or you could be just be Gwyn. Oh, look, we've got one at the bottom as well.
One for Phil.
Oh, Phil, this be you, Phil. You know?
There you go, Phil.
I'll just throw it and you'll catch it there.
I just dropped it. It should be down there in a minute.
Excellent. Who's going to be this year's Jennifer Lawrence going flying up the stairs, or who's going to be this year's Gwyneth Paltrow? We can't wait to see what the winners fare out to be. But the most important thing is the winner of our nominations, really, isn't it? So let's get down to business. Coming in at number 10. It's not the square, it's not the circle, it is the triangle of sadness. For those who are not in the know, it's this. There we go.
What also funny for those not in the know, the director also directed a movie called The Square.
There we go. You see, I'm telling you, I am looking forward to the one that contains a circle somewhere because something tells me it's going to be just as good.
That he's direct The Shape of Water now.
And I think he's very, very particular when it comes to his shapes, love, you know.
The Shape Cinematic Universe.
You know, I'm telling you, lads, hexagon should be great. In at number 9, sticky residue that we don't like to walk on was Tar, with Kate Blanchett in the lead role. In at number 8, diddly eye, St. Patrick's Day and he drove out the snakes. Hey! Well, chop me fingers off and call me Colin. It is Banshees of Inisherin, came in at number 8. Number 7, Avatar, should have cut them all and left that one.
There you go, Banshee.
Right there, exactly. Coming in at number 7 is Avatar: The Way of Water. Hashtag Blue Pocahontas, or Smurf Pocahontas.
Smurfette.
Maybe Smurfette. Number 6, what we like to do and what we do very, very well, women talking. Coming in at number 5, the not so biopic for himself, Steven Spielberg. It is, of course, The Fablemans. Number 4, we have The Highway to the Danger Zone. We have, of course, Top Gun Maverick. The only reason it's up there is because Tom just went nuts on all of us.
Danger Zone.
Definitely. In at number 3, is Elvis. Very, very worthy. But to be honest with you, our top 3 are absolutely interchangeable. Number 2, All Quiet on the Western Front. Very, very strong showing for that. Let's hope it gets the respect it deserves at the Oscars. And number 1, the all-round, lovable, buzzing off my brain, not really sure what's going on, but laughing, enjoying it. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That is our Oscar winner. Very, very well done. Congratulations from the Academy. Congratulations. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here this evening, so we would like to accept this award on their behalf.
I would just like to thank my mom and my dad for believing in me.
Yeah.
Oh God, someone play the Oscar music quickly.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's going on.
The staff crew.
Amazing. So guys, there you have it. That is our list. So did you agree? Have you seen all of these 10 movies? Were some of them surprises to you? Did you think, are you off your head? That was shocking. Or are you off your head? That was an amazing movie. Do you feel there are ones that should have been on that list that did not make the cut when it came to nominations for Best Picture? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear about it. And maybe have some suggestions for some more lists that you would like for us to do. Maybe to have a little look at a review. Please do let us know, like, and make sure and leave a comment for us to interact. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel already, Get on it. We are there at Irish Wrestling Entertainment for our podcast. We're also on, of course, all platforms of social media. You will find us on Facebook, of course. You will also find us on Instagram and Twitter at Irish Wrestling 8. Go over and join the millions and millions of viewers that we have, of course, on TikTok, because TikTok is the place to be, hashtagging it all day long. And we would like to say a huge sponsor, of course, to our huge thank you, of course, to our sponsor, Manscaped. Don't forget IWE20 at checkout, and you could dress up and be as fabulous as we're all looking this evening with our Manscaped. Say nothing at all, guys. 20% off, and of course, free shipping. That is IWE20 at checkout, and we highly recommend to purchase the Performance Package 4.0 for all of your below the belt needs. It has been a roller coaster of a ride for our Oscar special here on Top of the Pods. We want to say a massive, huge thank you to everybody who is joining us this evening. Phil, who has a very critical eye when we are looking at movies, and this was definitely right up his street. Thank you ever so much, Phil, for taking time out of your busy schedule and for looking so dapper this evening. Tom, absolute stronghold when it comes to our movies, and I'm sure was super excited about this, so much that he's seen all those films more than once. How is beyond me, but fair play. But absolutely delighted to have Tom on board as well. Always such a great contribution to the Top of the Pods podcast as well. I would like to thank, getting a bit like that now, aren't we? Don't forget to check out, of course, Pop Cult Pod, because this is that's Tom's baby. And of course, we all make an appearance in the next episode. So just a little bit of a teaser there for you. Make sure and come over and check us all out. It's kind of multiversal, isn't it? Ooh. You see, I'm getting the hang of it, and I'm going to watch them movies. So from all of us here, myself, hosting this evening, Sensational Queen Lizzie, and himself, it is only Booker G 5 times. Massive thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you all again soon. Bye for now.
Bye.